Folks, I'm going to call this one Sighting an Unsighted Boat. I think you're going to really appreciate what I'm about to point out here. Pretty sure it's going to level the playing field out there a bit. Notice the rotational draw. Notice the two arrows very close together. And let me tell you what I did to make that happen. They're not where I want them. I got some tuning to go on this boat, but that shows the repeatability. So I had an aversion to string walking. Tried it, still do. It's not for me. Don't like all the noise. But the other thing I had an aversion to was rotational draw. I like to see the arrow come straight back. I've been taught an arrow drawn straight back is an arrow that gets shot straight forward when the bow is properly tuned. But I noticed something about this bow. I wouldn't have caught it unless it had these extra recesses in it, but it kind of sticks out. What I'm about to divulge here is going to be a game changer for a lot of people, I believe. But the rotational draw, that's when I went to the rotational draw, when I started thinking, wow, what is that I'm seeing there? It's almost like a sight on my unsighted bow. And then I had to giggle to myself when I thought of the rotational draw, because what an assist in about what I'm to describe to you. This bow, from the back side, you can't see anything. That's a black face, just a black face there. So that leaves you with gapping or whatever other type of sighting system you choose to employ. But I was catching this weird glint, and where that weird glint was coming from was the recesses in this gloss black, the holes of this gloss black riser. And then as I turned it just a little, as I turned the bow, let me get around this way, it's hard to, and I don't know what you're seeing there. As I turned the bow this way, like one would do in a rotational draw, as it spins this way. Now, if I take that bar right there, that center bar, and I'm looking at the glint in the corner, but if I take the bar itself, this one right here, and as I'm rotationally drawing, I set my elevation with that bar, there's my sight for 15 yards. Go down to the next little deal there, I'm at 20 yards. As long as I set my elevation. Now let's see how a bear shaft flies with this. It may or may not do well. So as I come down with my rotational draw, drop my arm. As I come down with my rotational draw, I can see that because that wall is like this to exaggerate. But as it turns, I set my elevation and turn my bow to the back. Try this again. Boom. So there it is. There's a sighted bow. And if I go to some other high name companies, brands, you'll notice they have some very ornate patterns going on in the window with a lot of what we used to call them for years, tells. They're tells on your bow. reference points. So you can use that geometry, those holes, those many sweeping bars like we see on a very top end riser, we can use that as a site because we're seeing that as we rotationally draw and set our elevation. Hope you enjoyed.